hallucinations I had and nightmares I had about water, beer, and all kinds of other liquid things. About 160 miles into my adventure, I finally reached Paisley. That's where my hallucinations and my nightmares became reality. I was finally able to drink a real beer and to have a real burger. It was amazing. I ended up treating myself with an ice cream and walked off into the heat of the day. But how did I even get to Paisley, you may wonder?
Well, that day was really rough in so many ways. I remember when I started climbing up to the Burma Rim, I ran out of water and I really didn't know how far I would get because there was just nothing really at all on the way. So I knew I had to come up with a plan, and to my next cache it was still many hours and many miles away.
I'm so thirsty. I want to die. I'm not gonna make it. I want to go home.
I eventually made it to that cache, and it was I think early afternoon and really hot, and it was the first time I actually set up some shade because I just couldn't stand the sun anymore. And so once I left that cache, I continued to grind up towards the Burma Rim. And it was slow going, lots of sagebrush, still a fair amount of climbing, lots of cross country, pretty much all that section. That entire section is actually cross country, and so it was slow going, and quickly I realized that my water would never last until the next water cache, which was about 15 miles before Paisley. As the sun started setting, I realized that there was no way I could spend the night and then continue again the next day in that heat.
I can't pee. My head's hurting. I can't think.
When I finally decided to set up camp, I was so dehydrated that I could only eat one of those oatmeal fruit packs. I went to bed with a huge headache and a very dry mouth.
I can see water. Wake up. No, I have to pee. No, I don't. Wake up.
So I got up at 1 o'clock and kept moving through the entire night. The temperature was very pleasant. I knew that the stretch was going to take me about 6 to 7 hours. But I only had about a liter left, so clearly I was in trouble again. In the early morning, I ran out of water again. I knew I could only move forward. I finally reached the next cache, but I was so dehydrated that I couldn't find it first. It took me like 20 minutes to locate it. It was one of these moments when I realized that I was reaching the limits of my body and my mind. From there, it was another 15 miles or so to Paisley. I loaded up with water and kept moving. So that's how I made it to Paisley. It's been a rough road.
I started moving out of Paisley after about a 1 hour break. John, the new owner of Paisley Saloon, even paid for my beer. He was really interested in what I was up to, and chatted for a bit, and then I left and bought an ice cream on the way out, and then started moving up towards the Fremont National Forest, which I was looking forward to because it's a beautiful forest. There's lots of water, there's lots of green. It's totally the opposite of what I had for the last 80 miles or so. I realized at some point climbing up to the ridge in the Fremont National Forest that I was never going to make it to the next cache.
Oh no, I'm in trouble again. Who conceived this trail? Who had this stupid idea?
It was just too far. I cannot explain why we placed that cache so far out, and clearly it was not where it should have been. So if something didn't add up with the mileage or whatever it was too far. There was no way I could reach it.
I had been up since 1 o'clock and had moved through the entire night. It was maybe around 7 o'clock when I decided to go to bed. I was hurting badly and couldn't move anymore. This time, I had no food left, but at least I had water.
So these last 2 days were really rough, and it just made me realize how much could possibly go wrong. I was still moving, but the pain was increasing, and especially my feet were really getting problematic. Lots of big blisters that didn't really heal, blisters that I didn't have under control. I tried to tape these blisters as much as possible and deal with them, but things just started to fall apart more and more, and so it didn't really look good at that point.
I'm hungry. Will I ever make it to the next cache? Or will I have to eat worms? Or kill a rabbit? Will I get scurvy?